What up? Still Broke Podcast, Marcus Moore, Encyclopedia Black back in the building. We want to get into and talk about some quarterback landing spots. We got some quarterback free agents, and we may have a carousel here going on. So just want to discuss what quarterbacks are available and where I think the best spots are for those quarterbacks moving forward in free agency. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. Again, if you like what you hear, like what you see, show us some love. Still Broke. Go ahead and like and subscribe. All right, let's kick it off, my man. Let's talk about these quarterbacks. Now, the high profile quarterbacks, in my opinion, that we're going to discuss today are Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, and possibly Justin Fields. So those are the quarterbacks that we're going to talk about and where I think they're going to land. Let's just start it off with Kirk Cousins. You know what? They've been flirting with Atlanta. I do not think that's going to happen. One of the main reasons is because Raheem Morris mentioned in one of his interviews that he wants a quarterback that fits Atlanta, that fits the culture, that fits the city. That is not Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a guy who fits Minnesota. I know his wife is from Atlanta, but he fits Minnesota. He fits the city. Justin Jefferson loves him. It makes sense to hold on to Kirk if the money is right for a couple more years until you get your new young quarterback coming in. That way you keep Justin Jefferson happy. You keep Jordan Addison happy. You keep all the guys offensively happy with a veteran quarterback who knows the team, who is great to the city, and who's just been just a guy that has been the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, that's just what let's just keep it real. He's been the Minnesota Vikings, and he's been a pillar in that community and for that football team. So I believe that makes a lot of sense, and he's probably going to take a little bit of a hometown discount. I don't see Atlanta overpaying him. I mean, yes, if you go with the veteran quarterback and you got some young guys that kind of steers the ship a little bit, and with Zach Robinson coming over as the offensive coordinator, being a first-year OC, first-time calling plays, coming from the Sean McVay system, I think having Kirk Cousins over there will make things a lot easier for Zach Robinson because he's been in the league for so long and he can help him in that next step as an offensive coordinator because he's been around, he's seen a lot. He's probably seen more than Zach and can really help him out and help him grow in that position. So from that standpoint, I understand that. And that may sound good, but I just feel like Atlanta has a young football team in Atlanta. It just doesn't fit Kirk Cousins. I just couldn't see Kirk Cousins as the Atlanta Falcons quarterback. So for me, I say Kirk Cousins is going to Minnesota, and I feel going to stay in Minnesota. I feel like that's a bet fit for him. Baker Mayfield. Same thing. No reason to go anywhere but Tampa. I mean, Tampa's your spot. Tampa's the team that you took to the playoffs last year. There's no need trying to learn another playbook. Now you lost your offensive coordinator to the Carolina Panthers. He's now the head coach, but you return Mike Evans. He just resigned. So for me, it just makes more sense. I mean, you're gonna sign I don't think anybody's gonna overpay for Baker. I mean, he's probably gonna be somewhere in that 30 to 35 million, somewhere in that range. You got no state tax there in Florida, great place to live. So for me, it just makes sense for Baker to stay in Tampa Bay with the guys he's already been with and try to basically grow off of what they built last year with all most of his weapons coming back. So for me, the spot for Baker is Tampa. I mean, if Kirk leaves to Atlanta, I guess Minnesota will probably be the next best spot for him because you're kind of interchanging the same guy. I think Kirk's a little bit better than what Baker is, but same type of quarterback as far as that's concerned. And the quarterback I think your receivers will be happy with. He's a very accurate passer of the football and a guy who's more of a pass first, not a dual threat type guy. So I think that would make sense if Kirk goes to Atlanta. But assuming what I say, Kirk in Minnesota, I see Baker staying in Tampa Bay, and I think that's the best fit for him. Now, we get to Russell Wilson. Now, here's the one where it's odd because the Broncos are basically footing the bill for this year, okay, for Russell Wilson. And he's going to take the league minimum. So I believe it's around $1 or $1.5 million, and the Broncos are going to pay the rest. I think his two biggest suitors, or the two best places for him, are Pittsburgh and Las Vegas. All right, I'm going to go with the one I think is the best fit first, and that's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's in a situation where Kenny Pickett's not ready, but they still like Kenny Pickett. I don't like Kenny Pickett, but no matter what I think. Okay, so no matter what I think of him, what you think of him, they like him. And he's not ready to take this team to the next level. And Russ is better than him. So if you get any kind of competent quarterback play, this team's made the playoffs the last 2 years with no quarterback play. So if you get any kind of competency there with Russell Wilson, you have a better chance of advancing in the playoffs. I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, But you know what? If you can advance, you never know what's going to happen. They're a team that could possibly get to the AFC Championship with better quarterback play. And not only that, but Russ brings some maturity to the room, and that's what they need offensively. They got a lot of young guys, a lot of immature guys, and they need a guy that's been around, that's a mature, that's a professional, and a guy that knows the NFL, knows the league, that has credentials, that can go ahead and steer that ship and actually lead that offense. And that's what Russ can do. Another thing with Russ is that Russ needs somebody to love him up right now. That's what he needs. He just came back from an abusive relationship with Sean Payton. He needs somebody to love him right now. And that's what Mike Tomlin is, man. Mike Tomlin is a guy that is going to back you 100%. He's going to be with you through and through and have your back. And I think that's the best situation for Russ, to have a guy like Mike T in his corner that has his back, that believes in him, and that believes he can be the Russ that we used to see in Seattle, and still has some of that magic left and is not on him and trying to cuss him out, trying to embarrass him. So he's coming from, again, an abusive relationship with Sean Payton, one that was not ideal for either. So coming to Mike T, I just think that is a great relationship for him, and he's what they need. That way, they got him for a year. They can decide what to do with them in the following year, and they can let Kenny Pickett grow, and they can let him learn from a veteran like Russell Wilson. And Russ ends up working out. You hold on to Kenny for a little bit, and Kenny's not going to go. I mean, there's not going to be a huge market for Kenny Pickett, coming out, and they can restructure some contracts and do some things as far as that's concerned. So you still kind of have your guy in the waiting, while Russ is running the ship and giving you a chance while your young guy is getting ready to play. Yes, Russ is not going to be the 5-year option, but could he be the 1, 2, and at best maybe 3-year option? Yeah, he can do that, and he gives you a better chance to win when you have to go up against a Deshaun Watson or a Joe Burrow or a Lamar Jackson. He's the better player, not Kenny Pickett. So I think that makes the most sense. Now, if it's not Pittsburgh, I kind of like the Las Vegas Raiders. The reason why is because they need a quarterback. Plain and simple. They need a quarterback. And he's better than Aiden O'Connell. It's as simple as that. Russ is a good football player. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's still, despite what they try to tell you in Denver, he's not sorry. The guy can still play. Now, is he Russ from 5 years ago? Probably not. But none of us are the guy we were 5 years ago. But can he still ball? He can't. Now, my only thing about the Raiders, I always say this. The Raiders are one of those teams that, especially now that they want a Raider in the building. They want a Raider. Now, is Russell Wilson a Raider? Nah. Nah. He don't fit. His personality is not typical Raider. But you know what? Maybe you get him around Max Crosby. Maybe you get him around Devontae. Maybe you get him around, AP. Maybe you get him around some Raider guys, and he becomes a little bit more Raider-like. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. So that's my only concern. As far as the personality fit, I don't love it. But as far as the player fit, I do, because on top of that, he can help out Luke Getsy, another guy that's fairly new in his job, had his struggles in Chicago. It's going to be his 3rd year as an OC, calling plays. And again, Russ has been around the block. He can tell you what you like. So with Russ and Devontae Adams with a veteran receiver, you know what? I like that fit for them. And I'm sure Russ would love to see Denver twice a year for the next couple of years, because the next couple of years from Denver are going to be rough. And I know that Russ would love to throw a party on them. So he will be definitely motivated. Pittsburgh is my first choice for Russ. I believe that's the right fit for him as the bridge quarterback as Kenny Pickett matures. Because, again, no matter what I think about Kenny Pickett, Pittsburgh likes the guy, so they want to keep him around. I think that's the fit. If not, I like the Las Vegas Raiders as the second. So my 2 choices for Russ: Pittsburgh first, Las Vegas second. Now, Justin Fields potentially on the market. We're going to just say that he is, okay? We're not going to get into debate of what's going to happen, what should happen, blah, blah, skibby, whoop, whoop. We're not going to do that right now. We're just going to assume that he's on the market. As I mentioned, I got Kirk staying in Minnesota. I got Baker Mayfield going to Tampa. The best fit for Justin Fields is Atlanta. Atlanta is where he's from. They got a lot of young players down there. They got young, explosive players down there with Bijan Robinson, with Kyle Pitts, with Drake London. And then you insert arguably the most dynamic quarterback in the league as far as his legs and his arms is concerned. You may have something cooking there. You are at least going to have something electric every weekend. So I think that's the best fit for him. You get these young guys in. He's the cheapest option at this point in time. You're going to let these young guys grow together, and for me, that's just a match made in heaven. You got Raheem Morris down there. Again, in Atlanta, we know how the Michael Vick experience was when Mike Vick was down there, and Justin's going to be, I would say, I hate to sound blasphemy, but I would say Mike Vick 2.0, as far as his dynamic ability and how he plays the game and how exciting his game is down in Atlanta. You just need a deep threat receiver because Justin has a big arm and his best attribute throwing a ball is a deep ball. So you get him another deep threat receiver, man, and you got something cooking down there. So I think that's the best fit for Justin and the best fit to see him succeed. And again, no matter if he stays in Chicago or not, I want to see that kid succeed because he's earned it and he deserves it. So again, where I'm at on the quarterback play, I think Kirk Cousins stays in Minnesota. I think Baker Mayfield stays in Tampa. I like Russell in Pittsburgh first. If not Pittsburgh, then I like him in Las Vegas with the Raiders. And then I like Justin in Atlanta. Many people did bring up Justin with Pittsburgh. Let me tell you why I don't like that real quick. I don't like Justin in Pittsburgh, not because of Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin loves Justin Fields, and I would love for him to go to a coach that can put his arms around him like they should. But again, they like Kenny Pickett. And having two young guys a year apart in the room trying to fight it out is a recipe for a disaster. It really is. You want to give one of these guys the keys to the city. You got the keys to the city. It's your team, like you would do with Russ in Pittsburgh, and then Kenny will wait his turn. But trying to have Justin Fields beat him out and Kenny thinking that he's better than Justin and having a possible divide in the locker room because the guys are around the same age and they're young, trying to fight it out, just a recipe for disaster, man. And also, I just need to give Justin, man, Justin's been through hell. He has. He's been through the mud, man. So I'm not trying to put him back in a division with, Lamar Jackson, with Joe Burrow, with Deshaun Watson, and just, man, make this kid fight for his life every week again. Now I know as a competitor that shouldn't matter, and it really doesn't. But, man, I got to throw this kid a bone, man. So for me, Atlanta's the play. Pittsburgh, a distant second, but more or less not because of the competition, just because I just don't like two quarterbacks being in the same room that are both near the same age that are trying to fight for the same position, and it could possibly have a divide and could divide the locker room. Even though I think that Justin Fields is a lot better than Kenny Pickett. Again, they like Kenny. They still think there's a future for Kenny. So they should go ahead and go with that plan. Get their bridge quarterback with Russ. Justin can go down to Atlanta, and then he can be their guy, their franchise guy, or audition for their franchise guy for the next 2 years. So that's where I'm at on that. Again, Kirk Cousins, Minnesota, Baker, Tampa, Russ, Pittsburgh, and then we got Justin in Atlanta as an Atlanta Falcon. So that's where I'm at on that. Let me know what you think. Feel free to comment down below. I'll be in the comments, checking it out, see if I was off, if I was on. Again, whatever you think, we'd love to hear from you. All right, man. I'm out of here. Still Broke Podcast, Encyclopedia Black. We out of here. Peace.